Imagine standing in a dry, endless expanse of sand and watching it transform into a lush, tropical jungle right in front of your eyes. This map shows exactly how massive of a canvas we're working with. The Sahara covers roughly 9.8 trillion square meters, which is almost exactly the same landmass as the entire United States. Today, it is an ocean of rock and dry orange dunes, devoid of almost all vegetation and surface water. If we were to cover this entire space in trees, we would create a massive man-made carbon sink, one capable of pulling CO2 out of the atmosphere to counteract decades of industrial emissions. But treating the planet like a machine where we can pull a single lever ignores the physical costs. Altering a landmass this large triggers consequences that move far beyond Africa's borders. This chart compares the scale of our proposed forest to the Amazon. The Amazon rainforest holds a relatively modest 400 billion trees. To cover the Sahara, we would need to plant more than double that, 980 billion drought-resistant trees. Keeping that many trees alive requires 4.9 trillion cubic meters of water every single year. That means we would have to double the entire planet's current annual water consumption. The only place to get that much water is the ocean. We would have to line the African coast with immense desalination plants to strip the salt from the seawater before piping it thousands of miles inland. Running those plants and pumping that water requires a staggering amount of energy. We'd have to blanket the borders of the new forest with solar panels, costing roughly $2 billion a year just to keep the system powered. Left entirely to nature, a forest can take 1,000 years to develop. With highly aggressive human intervention and unlimited funding, we could force that timeline down to a few decades. The price tag for the infrastructure, planting, and maintenance runs into the trillions. Pulling this off requires a combined financial effort from the wealthiest nations, turning a regional project into a high-stakes global gamble. As the first decades pass, the landscape begins to change. The new vegetation traps moisture, altering regional rainfall cycles and slowly converting the dry soil into a thriving tropical environment. For the millions of nomadic people living in the desert today, their entire way of life would shift, as the barren plains they travel give way to farmland and permanent settlements. The local economy would see a massive surge. Much like the real-world Great Green Wall Initiative, a project of this scale creates millions of jobs in agriculture, infrastructure, and engineering. On paper, turning a desert into a lush green landscape looks like a victory for humanity. But while the region thrives, a silent crisis is building out over the ocean. The first problem is a physical property called the albedo effect. White sand reflects the sun's energy back into space. A dark forest canopy absorbs that heat, meaning our new green space could actually make the planet hotter. The second issue comes down to the dirt itself. Saharan sand is rich in iron, nitrogen, and phosphorus. It acts as a vital, nutrient-dense fertilizer. Powerful winds pick up millions of tons of this mineral-rich dust, blowing it high across the Atlantic Ocean. As it settles over the water, these minerals dissolve, becoming the foundational food source for algae and plankton that support the entire marine food chain. If we cover the Sahara in trees, their roots lock that loose sand into the ground. The dust storms stop, and the nutrient supply to the Atlantic is completely shut off. By trying to engineer a carbon trap on land, we inadvertently cut off the base of the marine food web, leaving vast portions of ocean life to starve. But those wind currents carry the Saharan sand even further. The dust that doesn't fall into the Atlantic continues its journey until it makes landfall in South America. Looking at this particle flow map, we can see exactly where that dust ends up. Every single year, the wind deposits 22 million kilograms of Saharan phosphorus directly into the Amazon basin. The soil in the Amazon is naturally poor in nutrients. The rainforest relies almost entirely on this continuous transatlantic feed of desert sand to grow and survive. Losing the Amazon would be a critical blow to the climate. It currently absorbs a quarter of all the land-based carbon dioxide on Earth. If we successfully terraform the Sahara, the new trees steal the dust. Creating a brand new carbon sink in Africa actively starves and destroys the most important existing carbon sink in South America. The Earth functions as a single connected unit. Forcing a massive reforestation project in one hemisphere demands a physical trade-off in the other.